My name is Eli Sharabi. I am 53 years old. I've come back from hell. I've returned to tell my story. I used to live in Kibbutz Be'eri with my British-born wife, Lian, and my daughters, Noya and Yahel. It was a beautiful community. We were all passionate about creating the best life for our children and for our neighbors. Lian and I was married for 23 years and had two wonderful daughters and a dog, Mocha. On October 7, my heaven turned to hell. Sirens began. Hamas terrorists invaded, and I was ripped away from my family, never to see them again. That morning, after the sirens began, I tried to reassure Lian. The army will come. They always come, I told her, but they didn't. The terrorists infiltrated our community. The terrorists broke down our door. The dog barked, and the terrorists opened fire. My wife and I threw ourselves over our daughters, screaming for them to stop. They dragged me away as I called out to my girls, "I will be back." I had to believe that. I didn't know I should have said goodbye forever. Outside, my peaceful home was gone. Over 100 terrorists were laughing, celebrating, filming themselves in our gardens. They beat me as they dragged me towards Gaza. My ribs were bruised. My face was swollen. And when we reached the border, a mob of civilians trying to lynch me. They put me from the car, but the terrorists rushed me away into a mosque. I was their trophy. For 491 days, I was kept underground in Hamas terror tunnels, chained, starved, beaten, humiliated. The chains they kept me in tore into my skin from the moment I entered until the moment I was released. I was given almost no food, no water, and no mercy. I was treated worse than an animal. I was fed a piece of pita a day, maybe a sip of tea. I had to beg for food, beg to use the bathroom. Begging became my existence. And through it all, I held on to the hope that I would see my family again. When I was released on February 8, 2025, I weighed just 44 kilos. I had lost over 30 kilos. I arrived home and they told me my mother and sister were waiting for me. I said, "Get me my wife and daughters." And that was when I knew. They were gone. They had been murdered. My brother Yossi was murdered in captivity. He is still being held in Gaza, denied the dignity of burial. Just before my release, Hamas took pleasure in showing me a picture of my brother Yossi. They told me he was dead. It was like they had brought a massive hammer down on me. I refused to believe it. Where was the Red Cross when we needed them? Where was the United Nations? 491 days of torment, 491 days of starvation, of being chained underground. And no one came. No one in Gaza helped me. The civilians saw us suffering, and they cheered our kidnappers. They were definitely involved. I'm here today because I survived. But survival is not enough. Not when 59 hostages are still there. I was freed less than 6 weeks ago. I've come here to be the United Nations with a simple message. Bring them all home. I met President Trump at the White House and thanked him for securing my release and many others. I appreciate his efforts to free those still held. I told him we must bring them all home. I met with Prime Minister Starmer at 10 Downing Street. I told him as well, we must bring them all home. Now, I will stand before the United Nations Security Council to say this. No more excuses. No more delays. No more moral blindness. You cannot claim to stand for humanity and abandon those who are still in hell. I say now to every state, to every person in a position of power, to every person who has listened to me today, bring them all home, now. Thank you.